What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Compatible Cinema. I am once again joined by my beautiful boyfriend, Austin. Hello.
Hello.
Uh, and we are going to be talking about The Substance. I think this was probably on both of our lists, on the very tippy top of the most
It was on mine
anticipated.
first. I'd like to clear that up. You would not know about this movie if it
I don't
wasn't for me.
care. I knew about it like a week after, so I don't care.
I brought you into the knowledge of the substance.
Cole did, really, not
I
you.
take full
Um,
credit. No, Cole did not. I was talking about this movie
okay,
before even Cole was.
I don't care. But yeah, it was on our top list, and it's staying there. It's my number one film of the year out of all the like 30 something movies I've seen this year so far, which isn't much, by the way. There's still so many I need to watch that I've like haven't seen yet, even from last year. Um, but yeah, this movie was brilliantly marketed. The trailers were fantastic. They didn't give too much away, except for maybe the last one, because it was like maybe 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, I think, and it gave away quite a bit, but still didn't give away anything really. So I mean, it kind of gave you a kind of plot structure a little bit, but even then, it didn't really give away anything. Just like how the film was, like the film was immaculately articulated. Like it was just there's not one thing I can think of that I had a problem with in this movie, to be honest. And I'm not trying to glaze it, I'm really not, but I'm really trying to sincerely find a reason. Which, if I'm doing that, there is none. So, you know, 10 out of 10 so far. But first off, I really want to get this clear too. We're going to be doing like maybe a little bit of non spoiler, and then we'll do the other half spoiler. Because I know not a lot of people are going to be able to see this for a while. We have some friends in the UK and Australia and stuff that aren't going to be able to see it for a while. I think next month, or on digital, it'll be on sooner. But so yeah, I'll let you start talking about the substance because I've pretty much opened up the show about what my initial thoughts, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, look, like you said, I'd been. This was probably one of, if not my most anticipated film of the year when I heard about it. It debuted at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year to some really great reviews. It won Best Screenplay over there. So yeah, I was really looking forward to this movie. I've seen a lot of like older Demi Moore stuff, and I've kind of followed her career. So it was exciting to see that she was going to be, the lead in this and all that. Obviously, Margaret Qualley and Dennis Quaid and some other great actors in there as well. So yeah, I was just super interested, and I think for the most part, I saw the first trailer and I knew it was a body horror of some sort. I didn't know pretty much how or what else or how it went into that because the trailer doesn't really look or at least that first initial teaser doesn't perceive itself as something like that. But yeah, I this film basically lived up to all of my anticipations and expectations and exceeded it. I was absolutely blown away by the performances, by the screenplay, the direction, the cinematography, the music. Everything just worked so well together. It was all
Yeah.
this big, what felt like kind of like orchestrative piece. All the instruments were in the right places and doing the right things, and it's what's going to be interesting is this is definitely a movie for, I would say, cinephiles. I don't think a lot of people like normies or general audiences are going to be as crazy about this as I am or some others.
Well, we ran into two of them after we saw
Right,
the movie,
right.
which we'll probably talk about later. Just kind of funny.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but I absolutely loved this movie. The message, the way it tells the message, and the metaphors and everything that it uses, it's just all very very well done. I really loved it.
well, that's what I like most about it is that there is not just one message in there, and it's not really a message. it's just a portrayal of reality, really. One person pointed out on Twitter, and the director, I Coralie Fargeet. I know I just butchered her name, and I'm so sorry. I'm illiterate. It's okay. I'm sorry. But she, brilliant job, by the way, brilliant directing. I know
Yes.
she did another movie called Revenge with Margaret that I haven't seen yet. Another, a couple other short films. But so far, this movie really gave me what I needed to follow her career going forward. Like I'm in. I'm in. Whatever you do, I'm in.
Oh yeah.
She did a really great job, not only with the screenplay. Screenplay is just, I could just, the writing was so great in this movie, and the directing was too, and the cinematography, the music, everything was about it. Everything about it was great. But someone pointed out a great like thing in the movie, and it's not really a spoiler, but it kind of is. So I'll just be pretty vague with it. But there's a great um, kind of dichotomy between Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley's character in the movie, Sue and Elizabeth, um, where Sue is this beautiful, stunning woman, and Demi Moore. Let me just say this: she's still stunning. She's still
Yeah.
beautiful in this movie. She still fucking looks great. Like she still looks great. And by the end of the movie, I'm like, damn, I bet you regret it because you looks pretty good. I mean, you could look worse, you know. So everything that she did in the movie was kind of like, why? Because by the end of the movie, you get a certain shot after something happens, and you're like, yeah, that's she didn't really have it all that bad. But it's the compulsion, it's the insecurity, it's all of those things. The male gaze was a really big, theme in this movie, and how male gaze, male look at women, especially in the industry, and Dennis Quaid's character in particular, which is my favorite. I know Dennis Quaid has been around for a long time, and he's had some really great roles, but this is my favorite Dennis Quaid role. Like every time he's on screen, he just radiates like male toxic like masculinity. Like it's so great seeing him on screen, and just how disgusting he is, especially the shrimp scene where he's just eating shrimp, or his first scene in the movie, which I won't spoil, but it's just like a great entrance for his character. Like
Yeah.
it's so fucking heartbreaking too. Um, but yeah, like everything about this movie with its themes and its metaphors and all of that was just really, really great. But I totally forgot about what I was going to say. The dichotomy between like Sue being this beautiful, stunning, very skin and fit young woman, and Demi, Elizabeth, kind of being like, she's not overweight, but she is not happy with her body, and it's not what it used to be when she was younger. And I just love how you have that dichotomy, because when Elizabeth is on screen, she's just eating and eating and she knows that fucks with Sue. She knows what that does to her mentality, and that just fucks with her because she's the exact opposite. So the dichotomy between these two characters and their relationship was so fucking interesting. And by the end of the movie, when something happens, like I was like, yes, it's finally happening. And it's just such a great, great fucking movie. I can't say that enough. Um, and I haven't been that excited about talking about this sort of movie in ever. And I cannot wait for people to see this, just so we can fucking go ballistic and talk about what the fuck that third act was, because that third act was amazing. It felt like Evil Dead. I was telling Tim this, our friend Tim, this the other night. It felt like Evil Dead and Big Trouble in Little China, like fisted each other at the end of that movie. There's some very other clear references to other film, Carrie being one of them, especially. But anything else I say about the references, it's just going to give you an idea of what the third act is, and I'm just going to keep my mouth shut now. And I'll let you talk now. What were your favorite parts of this movie? Because I have so many. But if you had to pick maybe 3 favorite parts of this movie, what were they?
I'd for sure number one performances. I think I have a lot of respect for Demi for taking on this role, and literally burying it all. And like she puts herself. She's been through a lot in the last 10 years or so, or more. She's definitely.
25.
It feels very. I'd say the performance is very similar, close to how I felt after watching Michael Keaton in Birdman, where their real lives was kind of a mirror to the characters that they're playing in the story in certain aspects and stuff. And it takes for an actor, they've got big egos. It's hard for them to talk about themselves and kind of deconstruct themselves and talk about those hard things. And so I definitely have a lot of respect for her for taking on the role. A lot of respect for Margaret as well,
Yeah.
because this is what they do in the film. It's there's this whole conversation right now about sexuality and film and all this type of stuff. And I'm just gonna be honest, it's a very sexy film at times. It's a very, it'll turn you on at certain moments and stuff. There's beautiful women and they're working out and the way the way the camera, cinematography and shots are, and that's on purpose. I think that's okay. That's what that's what you're supposed to feel. And so yeah, I think for her to do that with kind of the conversation that's going on right now about sex in film and nudity in film and that was kind of a bold thing for her to do. She's very much allowing that camera to get all up in her and stuff, and that's something for some reason the younger generation isn't very comfortable with, and yeah, so but it very much adds to the film and to the point of the movie as well as to how these executives, how Hollywood, how people see these kind of star figures as well, and how they see themselves.
The whole movie is really about image.
Yeah, it's about beauty. It's about beauty, for sure.
Beauty and insecurity. It's really all about that, pretty much. Which is really how they approach that is fucking accurate as shit. And this movie is just pure LA. Like this is LA. Like this is Hollywood.
Right.
And it wouldn't surprise me if there's something actually kind of similar to The Substance out there, to be honest. It wouldn't fucking surprise me.
Well, and I had said this before. I'm saving a little bit for my review of it, but I was saying that this is like you don't see what happens at the end of this movie and stuff, besides the whole Carrie part, which you've seen before. You don't really see in American cinema that much. You see, like I was saying, this is one of the closest things to a Takashi Miike film that I think I've ever seen. If you've ever seen a Takashi Miike film, those films are absolutely absurd. I mean, you're talking a woman milking her titties, to the point that like milk is filling the floor, just crazy out there stuff. And there are certain moments in this that I was like, wow, for American cinema, they're going there. There are some things you're like, what the fuck? But it's really cool, and like again, it adds to the story. I thought the makeup effects were phenomenal. There's some really gross moments in there. I was going ew out loud. There was one where you turned away. I don't think I've ever seen you turn away, but I did the same thing because it was just
you've never heard me
wounds.
Visibly go that
was it has to do with this wound that is there, and it is.
And I don't fuck. That's one thing in movies I do not like is like fucking with open wounds and shit.
It's not even that. It was that the wound had basically gone unattended for weeks.
Yes,
and it's all pussy and
pussy
or putty. There's like pus.
What?
There's all pussy and all this other. It's just gross. It's really like an up close shot of a very infected wound. But yeah, no, that was great. Dennis Quaid, yeah, he was phenomenal as well. he was so out there. I love seeing him play a character like that, just so over the
Scumbag.
top and
A
stuff.
fucking scumbag.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It stops at 50. It's my favorite line in this movie. It stops at 50. Just fucking eating shrimp. Just
yeah,
fucking
that's
just it was beautiful.
yeah, just a lot of great choices in the movie. I mean, I thought it was really. I'm hoping it gets some recognition at the Academy
it.
Awards, but
doubt it.
it's out there. I don't know that it will. I mean,
No,
by far and away, I think Demi Moore deserves at the very least a nomination. She deserves.
Absolutely. Everyone does.
At this point, I don't honestly. At this point, she deserves the win in my book. It's the best. She's the best
Margaret,
actress of this year.
All three of them deserve nominations, in my opinion.
Yeah,
all three of them.
Yeah,
but knowing the Academy, they would never touch something like this, and never in their wildest dreams.
Well, they have at times. Yeah,
they might give it one for. I would say, if it just realistically speaking, and knowing how the Academy works, if it doesn't get any actor nominations, which is going to be really stupid if it doesn't, because it's up there. At least give it music or cinematography, because the soundtrack is great.
I think it'll get a screenplay as well, because it got screenplay
too
at the Cannes Film Festival.
I don't know.
But
you never know.
Look. I know we say this, but at the same time, I wouldn't be too surprised if it came out of, because look, the last few years we saw Parasite win, we saw everything everywhere all at once. You know, these are pretty out there movies. We're kind of gradually getting more and more out there as we.
Yeah, you know how Hollywood is too. When
it's going to be it's going to be a competitive year.
It's movies that are about Hollywood. Too.
Well, not only that too. It's going to be a competitive year because the Academy has faced so much backlash over the years. It's hard to please everybody. The Academy gets backlash if they don't nominate or choose indies to win and stuff, and they get backlash if they don't nominate or choose a really good blockbuster that might deserve a nomination. So they're very hard to, and this year is going to be really tough because there are some really good big blockbusters with the Dune. Gladiator shows up out of nowhere. Gladiator could come in with some,
kill me.
I'm trying to think of other Joker, big like.
Kill me.
So
again.
that's the thing. You have a lot of big blockbusters this year versus all the little stuff like Civil War and what's the other?
Those movies.
Kinds of Kindness. The Substance,
Challengers deserves a fucking nominations like
Luca's about to hit us hard this year with 2 films in 1 year, and I'll be honest, I love Challengers. I don't think Challengers is going to get anything. I think it's going to be completely forgotten.
It should get a nomination for score at least. That
score, yeah, I'll give it the score. But I think as far as everything else, it's going to get completely overshadowed by Queer, by Luca's new film. It's in Oscar bait territory. It just got its release date announced for November today. It's Daniel Craig, queer couple in Mexico. That movie's going to be huge. That might end up stealing everything this year.
No, but yeah, I hope Substance.
Nosferatu is another one. Big block.
But I hope Substance gets at least something, because
I hope it will.
There's Long Legs deserves something too. I think it deserves at least photography.
Long Legs was good, but it doesn't even touch some of the others I mentioned.
You named mostly shit that's coming out this year, and not most of the things.
It doesn't touch this. It doesn't touch The Substance. It doesn't touch Civil War. It doesn't touch Love Lies Bleeding. It doesn't touch.
Love Lies Bleeding was so mediocre. It was so mediocre.
I love Love Lies Bleeding was not as not
any fucking nominations.
But Love Lies Bleeding.
I want to talk about The Substance.
Had similarities to The Substance, which I thought was phenomenal. Like their use of metaphor in the story and how they're telling that story, I think it's phenomenal. It is very similar in that way.
Maybe about body image, not the
exactly. And like I said, the body, yeah, absolutely.
But no, this movie did, like you were saying earlier, because there was two people that we interacted with after we saw the movie, and they both like because we were both talking about how we liked it, and they both stopped us and asked us if we liked it, and I could tell they were a little bit confused, and I don't think they liked it. I think they were fucking horrified by what they just watched because they were both hugging each other for mercy when we walked out of the theater. So I don't think either of them liked it, or because they said they didn't expect it to be that because they watched like the 40-second trailer,
Right.
which doesn't give away anything really. It's very simplistic, really great trailer, but yeah, it's not going to be for everyone. So if you don't like body horror, if you don't like things that'll make you squeal,
It's gross. It's gross.
yeah,
Straight
it
is
there's some
gross.
gross moments. Like, I'm just thinking about one. Fingernail, ew, ewy. That was gross. That was fucking gross. And there's some other stuff with teeth too that I did not like at all. It really made me move around in my seat, but that's the point. But yeah, really, that's all spoiler free that we can say. I kind of want to get into some spoilers now and just really talk about the third act a little bit. But yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, this is where I'd stop, turn it off, wait until you watch it, and if you want to hear us talk about what we thought of the movie spoiler wise, then come back and watch it. Or most of the people watching this anyway, we're going to be talking about in Discord whenever you guys watch it. So who cares? Yeah, spoiler time. So go away if you haven't seen the movie. I really don't want anybody getting this movie spoiled for them. I don't care if you're not going to watch it, or you might watch it one day. Just do not get anything spoiled for you about this movie. But yeah, a great thing about the movie, marketing wise, was they kind of not gave away, but they kind of hinted at there being like a clone of Demi Moore in the movie or something like that. So I figured that they would be Margaret Qualley was the clone of Demi Moore, and that they'd be like, living in the same space at the same time. Well, turns out they are one. Eliza Sue, Monstro Eliza Sue, is what I'm calling
Yeah,
them.
that was good. That was
Which was a great title card, by the way.
I started laughing my ass off at that.
That was hilarious. But yeah, the movie does a great job at really creeping you out with this really weird premise about this substance that, basically creates another version of yourself. And you each spend 1 week, and you both separate and you switch bodies or whatever. And the other one, while they're out, they have the responsibility of feeding you, keeping you alive for
So
7
when
days.
you back up,
Sewing you back together, like her back that was fucking gross.
Yeah,
I don't like sewing stuff either. That was gross. Like stitches. But yeah, it was just really creepy, and I loved how Sue progressively spent more time, and she just kept fucking up Elizabeth's life by giving her this rotten finger by taking more time from her. Just a few hours. It was just a few hours. And then later in the movie, we see that she leaves her in there for 3 months. And when she comes out, she's like this hatchback, old fucking like decrepit goblin looking motherfucker. And
you know what like a goblin. She looked like a witch, like an old witch. Yeah, that's literally what she looks like.
And her spine and her rib cage is like protruding out of her back. Like it was so creepy.
Crazy stuff.
It was creepy as fuck. And I loved the sequence of her trying to kill her and her having that moment of like, I can't kill her. Like, I need this person. Sue, no matter what. And I love the lesson throughout the movie that they are one. Like, stop blaming the other person for breaking the rules and taking more time. It's you. You're the one doing that. Like you're conscious. You're doing that subconsciously because that's the only way you can get fame again is living through another version of yourself, is getting that spotlight. That's the only thing, that the closest thing that she'll ever have. And the way she looks now and how horrible and decrepit she looks, she couldn't give that up. And I do love that sequence where she wakes up, like Sue wakes up and just fucking murders her, like beats the fucking shit out of her for like 10 minutes straight, like just like chases this bitch around the house and just murders the fucking shit out of her. And that was one of the most heartbreaking scenes of the movie, because I really did feel bad for Elizabeth. But I knew Sue was going to get what was coming to her, because what are you going to do without the person that you're from? Like, you're the same person. You can't, So how they dealt with that, with her, it's her big New Year's Eve night. She's hosting the big New Year's Eve event.
Right.
And she just killed the one thing that she should never fucking kill, that keeps her alive. And she just slowly starts falling apart like Frankenstein at the end of the movie, which I fucking love. Like her ears falling off. She's pulling out her fucking teeth, ripping off her fucking fingernails. And then I really had a feeling that she was going to eventually use the substance on herself by the end of the movie. And I was really hoping that they would do that. But I had no idea what the third act was going to be. The third act was one of the craziest third acts I've experienced cinematically in a theater, by the way, in like maybe my whole life. I've never experienced a third act like that in my whole life. Like, it was just fucking insane in every good way possible. When she comes out on stage with the fucking, oh my God. So Sue transforms herself. She, well, not transforms herself, but she uses the substance, and another version of herself comes out, and it's the most ugly fucking thing that you can think of. Monstro Eliza Sue. And you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that scene in Big Trouble in Little China with that guy that's all like gets blown up with hair, blows up. That's what it reminded me of. Just how, horribly, it reminded me of The Fly a lot too.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of Fly vibes. The Cronenberg essence is strong in this movie. Cronenberg, it's all over this film. But yeah, the prosthetics, the practical effects with that giant mongoloid suit looked really great.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
And I'm wondering, and I'm curious if that was actually maybe one of them under those prosthetics. Maybe it was both of them, because Elizabeth's face is in the back of her, on her back, basically. So I'm wondering if maybe they were both in that suit, or if that was animatronic. I believe the face is probably animatronic. But I'm really fascinated by that. And if they did, kudos, because that's not easy to do. And it looked great. Yeah, I've been raving about the third act for a hot minute, because I just can't get over it still. There's more I want to say, but I'll let you take over. What were you most shocked by in the third act? Because there's a lot.
There's one thing in general. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's some shocking things for sure that I was, just like, oh wow, they're doing this. Like her kind of felt very Frankenstein-ish, or not even Frankenstein. You know what it felt like? Like a horror version, like a more horrific version of the reveal of Khan from King Khan, when he's being shown off to the audience. It's like that, but she's, this monster version in front of this audience, and they're all looking at her expecting the spectacle, and it's a monster, and it's this really, that was phenomenal. I mean, yeah, I just thought that ending was it was so unexpected. Not, I mean, yeah, unexpected, but like you just, it just really went there. It went all the way with what it was wanting to say and do and stuff. And yeah, as we talked about earlier, it's an ending to rival Carrie as far as blood raining from the ceilings. So
Covering
it's
everybody in blood for like 5 minutes.
right.
Great, like spinning in circles with a fucking hose attached to her
Yeah,
body.
in an almost kind of like dance type way. It was very very well done. Very very well done.
I feel like Evil Dead and Carrie, just
Yes.
it felt like so many things, but at the same time, this felt so original and new. And that's my favorite part about it. The originality in this was just great.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some things that are very similar, maybe. I have no idea. But for the most part, with where my knowledge begins and ends, this is one of the most original concepts I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Executed this fucking well. So yeah.
I do agree.
And the final shot. The final shot is probably one of my favorite things in the movie of her fucking because
yeah.
Monster
Fading.
Elizabeth just explodes, by the way. Her kneecap just fucking blows up and she falls over and she blows up herself. She's gone now. My favorite part, one of my favorite parts of the movie though, is Elizabeth's face just like slowly slithering towards her star, like her Hollywood star fame, and just dying there. Just her melting there and dying. Which is how the movie started, with her star kind of slowly fading out, which was a great portrayal of not only physically, someone aging out through their careers in Hollywood, but mentally, and what it does in time too, like to objects that represent their fame, like the stars and stuff like that, and the posters, like the posters lining the wall,
Yeah.
it was a great metaphor of like, there's just so many great things in this movie that I'm sure that I didn't pick up on.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it again.
I can't wait to see it again and just kind of pick it apart a little more. But yeah, like this movie was everything I wanted it to be. It's at the top of my list. Challengers was there, but now this is there. This is my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah,
and I hope it gets some love at the Academy. Come on, let's get some.
I agree. It's my favorite. It's my favorite film of the year so far. As of right now, the only one that could overtake it, and that I have right next to it as far as most anticipated, is Nora. I'm really, 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 really looking forward to Nora.
Yes,
but other than that, that's yeah. I think I don't think this can be topped. This was really like it's right up my alley. I love these types of movies where it's a lot of, like I said, a lot of metaphor. The cinematography too. There's so many great shots of her in these very like linear, clear spaces with boxes and all these things. Kind of how she views herself as kind of trapped within her own body. She wants to be this younger person. She wants to, but at the same time, she's just naturally getting older. Executives are looking at her and going, "We need a hot, young, new thing." And so it's it's very, very well done. It's one of those movies where you could take away the dialogue and the cinematography tells the story enough because of how it's shot and what they do with those tight spaces and things like that. Even her, Sue, when she decides to, cut and make this whole private little like trap door room, in her bathroom to hide her in this cold, dark space. It's all of it is adding and complementing and telling more of the story. And so I love these types of movies.
Well, it's kind of representing her psyche too.
Mm-hmm.
Her psyche is kind of just trapped in this, and that's the shower scene as well. One of my favorite shots of the movie is when she's curled up in a ball on the floor of the shower, and it just like zooms out, and it looks like she's in like this box of
Yeah, in a
tile.
box, you don't even see a door. Exactly. Yeah.
You see,
You don't
yeah,
even
she's
see
just
the
in a
door.
very cramped space, and that was a great shot and a great portrayal of what her psyche and what her mental state is. Uh, Really great creative, just ingenuity, like very creative shots and very creative way of shooting the movie. I was mentioning this to you when we saw it, but my one of my favorite things about movies, especially movies like this, is when you have all the colors, the atmosphere, the sets, and you have everything that represents beauty. Like everything's so beautiful in this movie. The colors, hence why I brought up the yellow in the banners and stuff because of her jacket.
Right.
Um, but the colors in this movie say so
Hmm.
as much as what they're actually saying, if
Yeah.
not more. And the color shifts throughout the movie really, really show on screen. It's not just like a subtle thing that you don't notice. You really notice how like the color, you know, really affects the story. You know, it really affects what they're trying to show on screen. Um,
Absolutely.
but my favorite part is when you have all the recipes for those things for beauty, but you choose to film things in a not so beautiful way. Not to say that the way they film things were bad, but like say for instance you have some really shaky over the shoulder shots, like tracking shots that look great and they
Right.
really feel great, especially when you're in the middle of the movie and she's like rushing to get the substance and like her package every month or
Yeah.
so. You know, those shots really are great. I really
Everything.
love
Yeah.
how I just love how it's so beautiful looking and it's so wide and flat, but then you get really close and it gets really messy,
Hmm.
which is really kind of another way of looking at what's Elizabeth. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of another way of looking at what she is. You know,
Exactly.
looks cool on the outside. When you get in, when you get closer, a little fucking messy,
Right. Right.
little little insecure and very, very, I wouldn't say damaged because she has that normal midlife mentality. Like,
Hmm.
that's she has a very normal she's going through a very normal thing in her life, midlife, right? She's
Yeah.
not happy with the way she looks. She's kind of tired of doing the same old at work. And there's nothing new in her life. Like it's not going anywhere really. Like just the same old thing.
Right.
Barely anybody remembers who you are. You have a new generation, new technology, new beautiful people to replace you easily. So every theme about that was great.
Yeah.
Um, I can't say any more about this movie, or I think I might fall apart. Like Monstro Elizabeth, like Monstro Elizabeth Sue.
Yeah. It
Um,
was a great movie. It was a great movie. I very much look forward to seeing it again. And
I
yeah.
just can't talk about it with people.
Yeah. Talk about
Like
it.
this is like there's some things I never get to talk about with anybody. Like I was thinking the other day, like there's Peaky Blinders. I haven't met a single person, maybe one or two, that I genuinely get to talk about that show with.
Right.
Um, and there's like certain movies out there too, and I'm like, why? Like nobody's seen this. I'm the only. It feels like I'm the only person that I know that has any interest in this shit. Sometimes, so it's really cool to talk about this stuff with people that have the same interests as us and that are
Yeah.
willing to watch this sort of thing. I'm trying to push it as many family members as possible. I'm going to make my dad and Kai watch it. I'll probably watch it with them
Oh yeah.
just to see the
Yeah.
reaction to how like fucking deranged this movie is. But
Yeah. I look forward to hearing people, what they
yeah,
think about stuff, especially some of my friends. So yeah.
well, I'm most interested in people like that have no idea what to expect out of movies like these.
Right.
Like the people, like if I wasn't tired and if I wasn't in the mood to talk to people, I would have probably sat there and talked for probably 5 or 10 minutes to those people that we talked to outside of the theater,
Right.
just like pick their brains a little bit on like what they expected and how it traumatized them.
Well, I already had one of my friends watch the teaser. He said it's a chick flick. So I think that's what people are. You're not expecting this body horror, very intense film. It's
You
very
just look,
intense.
if you just look at the poster, though, the poster is her back
Right.
split open with
Right.
stitches, and she's laying on the bathroom floor. Like, what the fuck did you expect? And like, I'm sorry, but the trailer
Well, that's
gave that
one of
away
the
too.
posters.
The
It's one
trailer
of the
gave that
posters.
away. Like, yeah, there's this like weird substance that'll like probably transform you or make you a clone. It looked more sci-fi. The trailer
Yeah, but
looked
again, I don't think people expect, and that trailer definitely doesn't give any indications to that it's going to go there, right, as to where it went.
no. And I'm one thing I'm really glad they didn't do is explain what the substance is and like where it comes from.
Right.
I'm really glad they
Right.
didn't do that, and they ended the
Yeah.
movie with kind of like this
Well, they did
ambiguous.
a good job of covering it so well that you don't really ask that question. Yeah, I never really thought about that throughout the movie. You're very focused on, and that's
I don't really
because it
care.
starts and it centers on Demi Moore's character and her, and what she's going
Her
through at that
experience.
time. Yeah, exactly. So it's that's all. You don't even really think or consider that stuff because it's storytelling is so great that that's you automatically know that's not a question that I need to ask.
No,
Um,
and they never
so
stopped the movie to. I'm glad they didn't do that because that's such a
right,
typical movie thing to do, and I'm really glad they didn't do that.
yeah,
Because guess what? It's still out there. And you know what? If they ever want to do another movie, it's still out there. Which I
yeah,
don't think they should. If they, I don't think they ever will. But if they decide to do something more with the substance, I'm in.
yeah,
You know, I don't think they ever will. Which I'm glad
yeah.
they, leave it
Doesn't
alone.
need it. Doesn't need it. Yeah.
It doesn't need one. No, it doesn't need one. But if they ever decide to do something with it, I'd be willing to watch what else they can cook up with it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. Is there anything more you want to say about the movie?
No, great. Go see it. It's a must see. Go see it in a theater. See it with an audience. And yeah, it's highly, highly, highly recommend. Best film of the year for me so far.
Absolutely. Man, this is how I felt after watching it.
Dear
Yeah,
God.
that's how I felt. Cinema, pure cinema.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. Thanks for everyone who watched, if you did watch, and make sure to like and subscribe if you're new. Like I said, the last video, I will be back probably whenever I see something good. Terrifier 3. We will be back. I'm not talking about the Joker 2 on this. I will not have anything called the Joker 2 on this channel. Unless you really know I'm mentally deranged or
I will
schizophrenic.
on my channel, so you can head over to my channel.
Yeah, you can head over to Borderlands Studios to watch that because I'm not covering that trash. But we will be covering the greatest clown of the year, which is Art the Clown, in 2 weeks. And then there's some other Halloween movies we'll be seeing. I'd imagine. I don't care to look right now what's coming out, but there's some stuff that we'll be talking about on the horror spotlight, and then by the end of the year we'll be doing the Godzilla thing if we ever get around to it. Might just do it by myself at this point. But for Halloween, I didn't announce this on the last one, which I meant to. For Halloween, we'll be doing a tournament, and if you followed the last channel and watched that, we did a few years ago on the old channel. We did like a pretty much a horror villain tournament, like putting some of the greatest horror villains against each other. And it's actually a list that I put together. It's not like a random list where it's trash. So I'm trying to really articulate a good list for that. So we'll be having a few people on there. Hopefully, like the week of Halloween. It won't be on Halloween. It might even be the 30th or the 27th, I'm thinking. So yeah, look out for that as well. That's pretty much all I have to say. Check out Austin's channel, Borderlands Studios. And as always, we will see you next time. Bye bye. Suck my cock.